to The Local Show here on QCTV. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Winter Kuharski. The Local Show is a spot where we share some extraordinary stories of some local people and organizations that make your community great. Here we'll share stories of hope, generosity, and inspiration to chase dreams. We'll also be joined by a special in-studio guest, so stick around. Did you ever think those doodles you do when you're bored could ever turn into a published book? Well, this Andover mother of two literally had her dreams come true. Leslie Sauer-Smith shares her story.
Ollie the Terrified Toad by Christine Iskierka. For my children, Rihanna and Nolan. I haven't been an illustrator my entire life. I've been drawing since I was probably Nolan's age. I've taken art classes and watched, and I've always admired those people like the Little Monster books and the Berenstain Bears. Those were my idols when I was a kid growing up, and I always said I wanted to draw and be just like them. Pretty much always wanted to publish a book, actually from high school. One of my friends on Facebook had said, well, finally, because in 7th grade, I had a newspaper, what do they call those, comics, I guess, Trudy the Teddy Bear. And I had done that with the help of my brother who made up the comic lines, and I drew the illustrations. So from that point, I'd always talked in art classes with my friends like, oh, you know, someday it'd be really cool if I could publish a book. They're like, yeah, well, that'd be neat, wouldn't it? And I'm like, okay, well, so she tagged me or saw one of my posts with Ollie when it came out. She's like, well, finally, you finally did it. And I'm like, well, you know, so it's always been a dream. Ollie grew up like all the other toads. He had a mama toad, a papa toad. Ollie's parents loved their little toad. They also worried a lot about everything. Ollie's been on my mind, I think, probably before he even came into existence. I had been thinking about the situations that we had been in, my children, particularly at school, and as a family, we were dealing with a lot of anxiety regarding Nolan in kindergarten, and then Rihanna dealing with different issues on the bus, and peers. And you know, she's in 5th and 6th grade were really hard years for her. And she'd come home and we would communicate every day, basically call it the debriefing. And we would just talk about what she'd gone through at school, and I'd try to figure it out with her and talk to her about it. And same thing with Nolan. When Ollie was big enough, his parents let Ollie play alone outside with one piece of advice. When Ollie saw a shadow in the sky, he was to hide. They wanted to protect Ollie. Putting this all in my head, I started thinking, you know what? I would bet to guess that there's lots of other people out there. I'm seriously just, I'm a giver of myself, an empath or whatever, and you know, how can I help other people? Because this was really traumatic for us, and it caused a lot of stress and heartache, be it to watch your son and your daughter come home and be just stressed out about things that have happened during the day. I mean, kindergarten's not supposed to be stressful, and neither, let's say, 5th grade shouldn't be stressful either. And on the bus ride shouldn't be stressful, right? So I'm thinking, geez, you know, how are we gonna deal with this? On a personal level, we dealt with it, you know, but helping other people, I'm always helping other people. But so that's how Ollie came about, thinking of a story that I could relay to the age group between 4 and 10 that could relate with a character and help them deal with their problems. Because people, I think, deal better with something that they can, what do you say, bond with or can relate to. Right. And I think Ollie does that, and that's how I came up with him, because we were going through some stuff, and I figured there's got to be other people out there going through it too, and I want to make it less hard for them. And thinking about what I could do, what kind of character would be cute, I went to bed that night, and I woke up, I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and much to my amazement, I'm like, and I had a napkin next to my bed, and I had a pen, and I thought, that's Ollie. And I just drew it so I wouldn't forget it. And I woke up and I looked at it, and I'm like, huh, so that's what he looks like. And then I refined it a bit, 2 to 3 steps from that original drawing from my dream when I woke up and drew it. And then he became Ollie. He hopped along till he saw another toad playing in the field. He said, "Hello." She smiled. "Hello to you. What's your name?" Ollie asked. "My name is Sarah. I'm a spotted toad." The one lesson that Ollie could teach kids, parents, teachers alike is that we're all scared of something, but we all have fears. But if you have a friend who's there to, help you deal with that problem, it's not as bad. So you don't have to hide from your fears, much like Ollie does in the book, but to know that if you talk about it, you're not alone, and you have a better outcome. And happy endings is because Ollie had a happy ending once he dealt with his problems together with someone else. And that's the outcome, I think, that I would want to have the takeaway of the book being, is that you don't have to be alone, and that you can cope and have a better ending than if you were to do it alone. Sarah and Ollie went for walks and hops together. Ollie learned how every shadow was not bad if you have a friend beside you to help you and comfort you.
Ollie the Terrified Toad has a great message for all ages, and don't be surprised if you see more of Ollie in Barnes & Noble bookstores near you. Matt Overstreet was able to check out a special art exhibit for those of us who like some intrigue and mystery in their life. The artist we are about to meet loves this particular project, and it shows.
In 2008, I started listening to Darkness Radio, a local radio show with Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, and they were talking about Bigfoot, UFO, ghosts, conspiracy theories, and pretty soon I noticed these little elements started creeping into my own landscape paintings. I'd have a beautiful Lake Superior, and then there'd be a little UFO would start showing up. Pretty soon it really evolved, and I wanted to do a larger show. I figured other artists must be working with the subject matter and doing this. So I met Bethany Whitehead from the Banfield Locke Center for the Arts in Fridley, and she was open to the idea. She was one of the first gallery people I met that was open to the idea of a paranormal art show. So we teamed up, and we got Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis from Darkness Radio to come help jury our group art show. I was inspired personally by all the stories I heard and learning more about the subject matter, that in January 2015, I received a State Arts Board grant permitting me to travel around Minnesota, look for some paranormal stories, and create artwork based on those stories. I've been traveling to these different locations and finding out what the local legend is, and then seeing what inspires me to create some artwork that A, represents the story, but B, also maybe brings a new perspective. So right now I'm kind of trying to figure that out right now. Sometimes they come to me right away. It might be a painting or a photo, and sometimes it's more of an installation piece. I don't believe that great art is always exactly what detailing and illustrating the idea or the point. Sometimes it's more about the impression that's left, or the impression on the people around the event or the location. So it's trying to find that balance. Going forward, I'm hoping to collect, after I get maybe 20 or 30 good projects and stories fleshed out. Currently on my website, I keep a blog and I talk about the stories and visiting the sites and try to create artwork specific to each one. I'm hoping to collect these possibly in a book in the next couple years and get a book put together of not only my artwork, but also the reference photos, detailing the trips, and in the biz, the paranormal investigators like to call them legend trips. They're like trips we can all do. We go to a site and explore the local legend, and then I would like to collect that part of the project as well. My favorite quote is one from Shakespeare, and it's in Hamlet, and he says, "There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy books." And he's referencing Hamlet's ghost that has visited them the night before when he was killed. So I think that for us and in life in general, that is just so important. Like, we have to have those mysteries. There has to be something out there for us to find. And I think we as people need that.
There are many things in this world we can't explain. So expressing yourself in creative ways is important, especially if it's the unexplained. There are so many talented individuals in every neighborhood. Catherine Lenneberg and Corey Lang visited a St. Paul bookstore to meet the magical stories one author shared.
One of the great holiday books this season is called The Reindeer Wish, and it's written by Lori Evert, and the photographs are by her husband Per. Now, this couple is from Norway, and the story is based on their little daughter Anya. Today we're at the Bibelo store on Grand Avenue here in St. Paul, where Lori is autographing copies of her book.
Well, the first book, The Christmas Wish, was inspired by this cover photo that Per did of Anya with this reindeer, and we made it into a family Christmas card. But Anya and I kept talking about how it seemed like a fairy tale. It really just looked like a fairy tale to us. So when I saw this picture, and Anya and I talked about fairy tales, and we felt like she looked like a little fairy tale girl, and I just wanted to find a way that Anya would fit with some of these animals that Per has had the opportunity to shoot in the Arctic and in the wild. And so just came up with this idea of a little girl that wanted to be one of Santa's elves, and that these animals would help her find Santa Claus. And so that's how the book started, was just with this Christmas card picture.
Next, we talked to Anya about her experience on this magical journey.
It's really fun. We get emails from little kids who dress up as me, and we go to schools, and people just love the book. It's really fun. I'm a little girl living in Norway in the 1800s. I want to be one of Santa's elves, so I ski off on a journey, and animals help me go to Santa at the North Pole to meet him.
We spend a lot of time in Norway with Anya's grandmother, who feeds the animals, the squirrels and the birds. And so Per was taking all these pictures of them, and we were out in her grandmother's garden, and Anya put a little leaf of lady's mantle on this little doll for a hat. And I thought, what a fun book that would be to make, because the forests are full of this moss and these little creatures, and so that was our inspiration for that book. And then we were working with Random House, who wanted us to do more books, and so we came up with The Reindeer Wish because we've met so many reindeer out in the wild and at reindeer farms. So we thought, what a fun thing for a little girl to bring a reindeer up. It's been amazing. We have maybe had 30 signings this Christmas, since October. And it's wonderful to just see how these little children love Anya and love the books, and the younger ones really think it's real. So that's been fun because of the photographs rather than illustrations. So I think that's unique. So the next book that comes out in September 2016 is a story about that little puppy and some of his adventures with a lynx, a wolf, some Arctic animals that he interacts with. And then there's another book that will be coming out the next year about him as well. So we're pretty excited about that. And then we have a merchandise line with the doll that Anya was holding earlier, and ornaments. And we've been very lucky that people love our books and our little girl.
And a live-action film based on this book is set to be released in 2017. For the local show with Corey Lang, I'm Catherine Lenneberg.
Sounds like there are many books that kids and adults of all ages can enjoy and keep the magic alive this holiday season and beyond. Books like the Wish series transport you to other worlds. Speaking of traveling, have you ever been to all 50 states in the U.S.? Well, we are about to meet a Ramsey resident who hasn't only been to all 50 states, but she's done marathons in all 50 states. Leslie Sauer-Smith recently caught up with her to see just what makes her run.
So this was my very first medal. This was Twin Cities in 2008. And so of course that's my favorite, just because it was my first. I first started in, it was about May of 2007, and I had never been a runner before. I'd always kind of wanted to do it, but like in high school I was on the dance team, so never ran. And I started I remember I was at work, and I worked at a big corporation, and the cube mate across the aisle was talking about running her first half marathon. And I remember looking at her and thinking, you don't look like a runner, how come you can run and I can't? And so I went home that night and I put on my shoes and I went out for a run, and I made it maybe 100 yards. And it was terrible. And I was just convinced at that moment on that I was just gonna keep going a little bit further every day until I could, run a mile. And so I did that, and I just went a little bit further every single day, and then ran a 5K about 3 months later, the Torchlight 5K in Minneapolis. That was my first one. And I was super proud of myself, and then my brother ended up running Twin Cities Marathon, his first marathon that October, and so I watched him and spectated that race and just saw all the finishers, and it was just really cool, and so I was inspired to run my first. And so about a year later, October of 2008 was my first marathon, and that was Twin Cities. 2008, that was my first race. When we ran El Paso, I thought, well, this is really neat, and I've always loved traveling. I was fortunate enough that my parents would take us on summer vacations every year when I was a kid. So by the age of 18, I'd gone to 42 of the 50 states. And so I really loved traveling, and I really liked running the marathons, and so I just figured it would be a great way to combine the two. And so I had just been online and found that there was a 50 states marathon club, and you could join the club once you hit 10 states. And so I thought, I just think it's a lot of fun, and it was really a great way to see the country. So once I did kind of 3, I thought, well, I might as well just keep going and run a few at a time. And I didn't plan to run quite as many every year after that. I figured it would take me quite a while to finish, but every year I just seemed to add on a few more, and it just was easier to kind of stay trained. So this one was my personal best, and this was the Martian Marathon. What I really liked about running marathons, and I ran I think 13 last year, and it was like 11 or 12 the year before, but running that many in a year, you're really at that level where you can just run a marathon. So you're really just maintaining. So it was really just doing the long run and a couple runs during the week, and it wasn't so much the ramp up that you kind of, if someone runs one marathon, they've really got to ramp up their mileage over the course of a number of weeks. But with this, it was all about maintenance, so it made it easier. And I think my love is the marathon itself. And I didn't necessarily love the training runs as much. So after I kind of finished that first one, it was easy to talk myself into just staying at that level and keep running marathons. But yeah, it was a great way to see a lot of random places I wouldn't have otherwise been to, like Little Rock and Shiprock, New Mexico, and this one is the size of my face. This is Little Rock, Arkansas, and so they're known for their large race medals, and so every year they try to outdo themselves and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so this was 2010, so I think they've even gotten bigger since then. So when I first started running, no, I could have never imagined that I would ever finish that. So yeah, at the end of it all, I'd run 56 total marathons, so Minnesota and North Dakota. I've run multiple. And so yeah, I would have never guessed that when I first started running, that I would even do one marathon, honestly. So to have run that many is kind of crazy. It's fun. One's here too. So this one, I think just design-wise is my favorite because it's just cute. Right. I've just been trying to figure what I want for the perfect display, and there's actually on Etsy, they've got a few different people make like a 50 states specific marathon holder. So it's got like a quote on it, and then you've got them all, picture of a map of the United States, and then they hang on that. So I would like to do the World Marathon Majors. They've got some international races in Berlin and London and Tokyo. And so I think that I applied for them. They're all lottery entries, and so I didn't get in for 2016, but I'll keep trying, I think, every year. I'd also love to do an Ironman, but I'm not particularly good at swimming, so. So yeah, I'd probably focus on those in international races, I think, before trying the 50 states again.
What an accomplishment. Kelly's goal started small, but she's reached higher than she thought. We wish Kelly luck on her next running goal of running some international marathons. Catherine Lenneberg and Chris Carpenter took to the stands of a local hockey game and asked some fans a very special question. Let's check it out.
Hi, I'm Chris Carpenter, and we're here at the Champlain Ice Forum, where we had a chance to talk to people about what inspires them. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Emily Peterson. I'm from Champlain Park High School, and I admire my parents because they drive me everywhere and support me in everything I do.
My name is Dylan Shuck. I go to Jackson Middle School, and the person that I admire most is probably my dad because he's been pushing me to be the best hockey player that I can.
Hi, I'm Melanie Baker, and I go to JMS, And I admire my parents because they're always there for me. They support me academically and while I play sports.
Hi, I'm Jacob Wilson. I go to Jackson Middle School, and I admire my dad.
My name is Joey Wolt. I go to Edgewood Middle School, and I admire Willard Gabler because he's Gino.
Hi, I'm Ryan Souls. I admire Brady Wolt because he's one of my best friends.
Well, as you can see, we had a variety of different answers, and it's cool to see what inspires people. That's it from here at the Champlin Ice Forum. Hope you're enjoying the local show. Now back to the program.
Those are some great answers. It's always fun to hear all of the witty and fun answers from our young community members. We'll be right back with our special in-studio guest.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
This is Jacob. He makes cereal for his little brother every morning. He also washes the car, but probably should have rolled the windows up. This is Jacob's dad. He left for Afghanistan almost a year ago. Behind every serviceman and woman, there is a family that serves as well. Now it's our turn. Thanks for holding down the fort, Jacob.
Let's all join forces and show our thanks.
Welcome back to the local show. And we are now joined here by Jim Huff, the Executive Director of Cars for Neighbors, located in Blaine. Cars for Neighbors is a great nonprofit that serves Anoka County, providing assistance to people who are challenged with transportation issues. Thanks for joining us, Jim.
Thank you for having us out.
So can you tell me a little bit about Cars for Neighbors? What is it exactly, and how did it start?
Sure, well, let me answer that backwards. We started in 2000, and like a lot of small nonprofits, it really was a grassroots effort from people in the community, especially social services and faith-based agencies in our community that consistently saw people that didn't have access to good, safe, reliable personal transportation. They either lost the job that they had, they weren't able to get to job interviews, or in some cases not even able to get a promotion at the job they had. And so they worked together, and in 2000, Cars for Neighbors was formed under the name of Free to Be. Mm-hmm. And we do two very distinct services. The first is car repair. So we've repaired somewhere north of 3,800 cars for families and individuals in Anoka County since we opened our doors. And we do that. We don't do any of the repairs ourselves. We partner with shops in the area. And most of the time, the cost to the family is free or at a very low cost to them. Our objective is to get their car repaired, get them back on the road. And then the other part we do is actually donate gift cars to families that are screened through our program. And we have had the honor of doing that 953 times since we opened our doors. So somewhere over 4,000 families have been impacted since we started.
Oh, wow. Sounds awesome. So have you dealt with any of these car exchanges yourself? And how did it feel for you to be there personally in the moment?
Sure. I have had the honor of handing the keys to a family or an individual that was receiving a car from us. And of course, it's a very special occasion. It's not unusual to see some tears of joy. People appreciate that it took a lot of people from the community pitching in, kind of all pulling together to get that done, to get that car to them. Recently, we've actually, over the last couple of years, we've kind of decided I don't need to be the guy handing the keys out all the time. So we allow our supporters often, if it's a repair shop that's made the repair, if it's a church that has maybe sponsored our car care clinic, if it's a Rotary group or a Lions Club, we're taking that car out to their location and letting them hand the keys. It ties them to what our mission is. Mm-hmm.
So they're not just, somebody off in the distance.
Correct.
Exactly.
Right.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
And the family gets an opportunity to thank them personally for their support, and which ended up in them getting a car.
Awesome. Sounds great. So who would qualify for a car?
Sure. The best way to answer that really is for people to either call our office or to go to our website, but we provide service to people in Anoka County, age 21 or older. To get a car, you need to be employed. We'll do a budget with that person and make sure that if we give them a car, they actually are able to afford the car.
Right.
We don't want to set people up for failure. A car is a huge asset, but it's also a very expensive liability. So we want to make
the
sure
gas, the insurance,
and
the
maintenance,
oil changes.
Correct. All of those things that come with a car. So for us right now, the minimum is $250 of disposable income in their budget, so that we know if we give them the car, they'll be able to keep the insurance on it, keep it running, plan for future repairs exactly.
That's great. So Cars for Neighbors has been giving away cars to families in need for about 16 years, and I'm sure it's hard to keep track, but what was that number that you mentioned again? How many cars for Neighbors has given to people and families in need?
Sure. We just gave away 2 cars last week, and the second car last week was 953.
953. Wow, that is an amazing number.
We're excited for the 1,000.
The 1,000s are going to be a big celebration for the thousands.
I'm sure there will be, yes.
Of course. So now there's a special upcoming event that you'd like, I've been told there's some sort of fundraiser going on. Could you tell me about that?
Absolutely. This is our TASTE event. It's our signature fundraising event. This will be the 11th year we've had it. It'll be March 1st at the National Sports Center in Blaine. We bring in about 25 or 30 local restaurants. And for $35, you buy a ticket and you come in and graze all night long. It's kind of funny, I'll talk to the people that are there, and they come in and they have a plan to hit every booth, and they never make it all the way around before they're absolutely stuffed. And this year we're working on introducing craft beer and wine tasting as part of that.
That sounds delicious.
I'm not sure if we'll have the opportunity to do it this year, but often we give a car away that night. So it really is a celebration and trying to highlight what we do. And as I said, it's a fundraiser for us. Unlike a lot of nonprofits, we don't have anybody to send a bill to for the services we provide. So every dollar we raise or every dollar we spend, we have to raise somewhere. So this is our signature event. We're looking forward to it. And it's always very well received by the community. We generally have 800 to 1,000 people attend that evening.
Oh, wow. Sounds like great. So how can people help or donate an old card? Even if that card doesn't work, they're allowed to do that, right?
Absolutely. We're happy to take any kind of vehicle. Recently, a local plumbing company had 2 old cube vans that they donated to us. And of course, we're not going to give that to a mom or dad and their kids. But the cars that we can't use, that are at the end of their lives, or something that's like a large cube van, we sell those. And that money goes directly back into helping us repair cars for people in our community. The cars that we can rehab, that we feel like if we put $500 or $600 into them, and they have a good chance of lasting at least a year, better 2 years for a family, those are the cars we'll try to rehab and then give to a carefully screened family. But we're happy to accept any vehicle. We are a licensed dealer in the state of Minnesota, so when we receive the car, we can go on the DMV website, change that title into our name. If the car's not running, we can pick it up and tow it away for free. We try to make it very seamless. If people go to our website, we actually have an interactive map, so we have drop-off locations around the metro area, or like I said, we can pick it up as well.
All right, cool. So it sounds like a really great organization and a great place. Thank you so much, Jim Huff, for coming in, and we love showcasing these great organizations that help people in our communities. For more information on Cars for Neighbors and how you can donate your car or volunteer, you can visit their website. Well, that's the end of this edition of The Local Show. We'd like to thank all of the people that we featured today for sharing their story with us and for continuing their hard work in our communities. And if you know of any great organizations or extraordinary people who go above and beyond, please contact us. They might be showcased right here on The Local Show. Thank you for joining us today. Please join us next time on The Local Show, where we share more great stories. And if you could please pass along a good deed to others in need.